And I can't stress with you guys the importance of this game. You guys already know it. You don't even need me to tell you. And the team don't need us to tell them. But what I got to say is the fans have got such an important job to play tomorrow night. We all know the plans of the TIFO, everyone's this club have said dress, wear white and all that.
We're going to show North London how to do a TIFO tomorrow. Exactly,
that bloody what was Arsenal doing last night?
I don't know if you can call it a TIFO.
A shower curtain or something coming down their clock end or whatever it was. Like, that was embarrassing, that Arsenal TIFO yesterday. And you know what? It followed by a pretty embarrassing performance as well, where they should have lost by more goals than they did. But look, this ain't about them lot down the road. This is about us tomorrow night in our own European semi-final. And like I said before, it's so important that the fans do their job tomorrow night, because look, I'm gonna mention them one more time. But I was watching the Arsenal game last night, and after the first few minutes they sing their song at the beginning. It's all very nice, and it was loud, really loud, probably the loudest I've heard it. But after that, it was quiet, and you could see the team weren't able to feed off like the atmosphere in the stands. And I think that probably did have a bit of an impact in the game last night for Arsenal. And I think Spurs, no matter what happens, even if you go down 1-0 in the first few minutes, the fans need to keep on their job all game. We can't stress that. Like, if you're ever going to come back from a game with absolutely no voice whatsoever, this is the game to do it in.
Yeah.
I think Forms said it really correctly when we did a panel show with him last week, and he's like, this is the night where the fans make the first move. We don't wait for the team to start performing to back them. We need to back them from start to finish, no matter what. Like, even if we start a bit poorly, a bit nervy, just keep singing, keep backing the team, and the team will duly deliver, and the team will respond to that.
Yeah, and we need to make it a proper occasion. Like, we all see those clips from the Ajax game before, when the team's in the tunnel, where when the Spurs is drowning out the Champions League music. You can barely even hear the Champions League music. It was so loud in that stadium. And I want to see more clips doing the rounds tomorrow, when the team are walking out and they can hear the fans as loud as possible. That is going to be what makes it an occasion. I'm sure the TIFO is going to look great. Usually when we do a TIFO in that stand on the big occasion, it usually looks really, really good. So I'm hoping that, coupled with an unbelievable jubilant atmosphere, is going to really set the tone for what could be a massive night. And I know, it's up against Bodo, and on the face of it, we're not playing like a big name, but that shouldn't detract on what a big occasion it is tomorrow. It's the biggest occasion at this stadium, definitely since that semi-final of the Champions League, and one of the biggest occasions in our lifetime, let's be honest, as a Tottenham fan. Whatever you want to say, a semi-final in a major European competition is one of the biggest occasions we've ever had as a fan. So I hope we treat it that way, even though the season hasn't gone good. It's been a disaster, let's be honest. The league season's been terrible, and there's a lot of bad feeling going around, and there's a lot of blame, and there's a lot of anger, and there's a lot of frustration going around the fan base and the football club. But tomorrow is all about putting that to one side and making sure we will our way to that final, because tomorrow, in the context of this tie, it's so crucial we go and take a lead, a good lead to Bodo Glimt, to the away game. It's so crucial. So if we can do everything we can in our power to G the team up and get that over the line, it's going to be crucial.
Exactly. Every single person going there needs to play their part. So if you're going, don't come back with a voice. And if you're going, support the team all the way till the very end. Spurs are saying, get in there early, wear white, and there's going to be flags all over the stadium. There's going to be a big TIFO in the south stand. So I'm sure if you're going, you are most definitely going to be playing your part. That's for sure. Now, moving on to the game, and let's talk about Bodo for a little bit, because I've been doing a lot of research into this Bodo Glimt side, and they're a really interesting team, to be honest, like really interesting. First and foremost, like, classically, they've always been a team that have been yo-yoing through the divisions in Norway, which is crazy to think about, because we've actually heard quite a bit about them over the past couple of years. You've always seen them in the European competition, having some big results over the past couple of years.
I remember Jose, they beat Jose's, was it Roma a few years ago? And Jose was saying,
5-1 or something.
Yeah, they battered them, didn't they? And Jose after the game was very, very complimentary of them, I remember.
Yeah. They've had some big results in Europe. They really have. They beat Ange Postecoglou's Celtic team quite convincingly as well. But they've been yo-yoing through the leagues, right? And 4 years ago, they won their first ever title. And now they've won, 5 years ago, now they've won 4 in the last 5 years. Just shows you the trajectory they've been going on. And I was actually watching a documentary about them a couple of days ago, and in the documentary, I had like interviews with the directors and everything like that. And they're such an amazingly run club, but inside the club, they never say the word winning. They never say the word like pressure, or they never ever talk about winning. It's always the only thing that gets drilled in is about style of play and how about the way they go about things. And it's like kind of similar about Ange Postecoglou. You know, that's kind of a bit similar to what he's about, you know, always about doing things with a style. And maybe that's what Spurs have been about, like kind of throughout the history as well. But they play a really good brand of football is what I'm trying to say. And if you let them, they'll get on top of you and they will press you into oblivion and they will get goals. They're a team that get a lot of goals. But having said that, they are a team that can leave the back door a bit open as well. So when you're looking at them coming into our stadium, we have to be able to, the onus has got to be on us to go and absolutely obliterate them from the first kind of minutes. You have to come out of the traps fast. You need to kind of, their fans are going to be going at 1,000,000 miles an hour throughout the game. You remember the Frankfurt fans. This is going to be 10 times what the Frankfurt fans were doing. They're going to be bouncing up and down all the game. And it's going to be on our fans to drown out those fans. And it's also going to be on our team to kind of overawe them on the occasion. And they're coming to this with a lot of problems, Bodo. A lot of problems. They've got two of their most influential players out. They've got pretty much half their team out. And, you know, Bodo fans are actually really worried about this first leg because they've got majority of their players back for the second leg. But this first leg is a massive opportunity for us.
Yeah, it's a funny story what happened in the game against Lazio as to why they have players out, because supposedly they picked up, I think, 4 bookings, I think, or one guy even got sent off after coming off the bench against Lazio as well. And they were under the impression that the players who were getting booked, the cards would be wiped after that game, so they would be available for the semi-final regardless of the fact that they were totting up the cards. What they didn't realise is the cards get wiped, but the suspensions don't get wiped. So once you've totted up that suspension is still valid. But obviously after that point, you then the cards do get wiped into the semi-final, but doesn't mean you can just get suspended up before then and then it gets wiped. So there was I don't know how they had that misunderstanding, but there was a misunderstanding, miscommunication at the club, and now they have some very, very important players. One of them in particular, I think it's Patrick Berg, I think his name is. I was looking into him. He is I can see his numbers and his heat map for the season. This guy is clearly their biggest player. He's a massive box-to-box midfielder. He's got, in the Europa League alone, he's got 3 goals and 2 assists this season. He's their highest in terms of tackles per 90. He gets around the pitch a lot. He's in terms of recoveries as well. This guy covers every blade of grass, and the fact that he's missing for that first leg, especially given that even when he does play away from home, they're still not the best side. I've been looking into kind of their average positions, in this Europa League in some of their games, and I was looking at the home game against Lazio. Their average position way up in the Lazio half. Pretty much most of their players in the opposition half, and they really put them under pressure. Then all of a sudden, the second leg, the average position much lower. All the time, it's pretty much only their striker who had an average position in the opposition half, and they sat a lot lower. Now, whether it's a deliberate tactic to sit low or whether they were just forced back by the opposition, either way, it shows the difference is how they perform away from home and at home. If I was actually looking into this season as well, just looking at some of their away performances and the level of chances they do concede away from home. So for Lazio away, they conceded 3.9 XG away from home. When they played Olympiacos away, they lost the game 2-1, but they conceded 2.98 XG, which is a very large amount. When they lost to Twente in one of the playoffs, 1.65 away from home as well, which not the highest, but still not fantastic. When they played Man United away in the group stage, they lost 3-2, but they 2.95 XG they conceded as well.
And that was with their best players.
And that was with their best players. They beat Braga 2-1, but they conceded 2.37 XG. So this side, when they play away from home, concede a lot of chances. Now, some of those games, maybe they did get results, or they end up losing maybe not as badly as they could have. But my point being, if you put your chances away, you could score a lot of goals against this team, for sure. And the amount of chances these teams will be able to create against them and shows that when they're attacked, they're not like the most compact team. They're not the best defensive team, and that's because they are brave. They do like to play on the front foot, and on the flip side, if I look at some of the XGs they've got at home, it paints a completely different story. Obviously, like all of a sudden, like Olympiacos at home 2.23 they got at home. When you look at Twente 1.9, I think Lazio when they played them at home, it was 3.02 XG they create. So it's completely flipped when they go at home, basically.
Yeah, and that proves the point why we need to take the advantage of not just home advantage, not just, being a stronger side as well, man for man, but also because of the injuries that they do have and the suspensions, it's going to have a massive part to play in this. And we've been presented with an incredible opportunity in this first leg with the suspensions and the injuries that they do have, because yes, they're a difficult side to play against, but when you're this kind of side with this kind of resources as a club, when your best players are out, the quality surely dramatically decreases. Surely.
It should, but I agree with that. But also, I do think Bodo, a lot of it is more how they play. They have good players and they have their starters, don't get me wrong, but it's not like they're a team of star names. What their ISP is and what makes them different is how they play as a team and how they've come together as a town, basically, to be where they are, and how this manager has got them playing. It's all about the culture around. And yes, for sure, it's an advantage having their especially one of their best players out, or two. I'd say two of their starting three midfielders who usually start in midfield are going to be missing, and that's definitely an advantage. But for sure, Bodo are not here because of one man or two men. They're here because of how they play as a team, and that's not going to change tomorrow. But my point being, even when their best players are there, they still concede a lot of chances, and they're still there to be got at, especially away from home. So it shouldn't make a difference who's playing or who's not playing. If we go at them, and if we're clinical in front of goal, and we got our finishing boots on, and we create chances, there'll be chances to be created, and there'll be goals to be scored. And it's about making sure we don't, like the home leg against Frankfurt, miss too many of them.
And that's what it's going to come down to, isn't it? Being clinical. That's the main takeaway here. If we're clinical, we can put this game to bed in the first leg, because you don't want to be taking things to chance. You don't want to be going there with like kind of a slight lead or even drawing the game. You're playing on a 4G pitch in really tough conditions near the Arctic Circle, plus everything else that you're saying, or how strong they are at home. We can't be taking anything to chance. We need to be as clinical as we've ever been this season in this game. And if we do that, I really believe there's a chance that we can put this game beyond all doubt in this first leg.
For sure. I was looking into kind of how they play as well and how they create their chances. A lot of it I was kind of looking over their Lazio game in the last leg. In the game, obviously, where they beat them, obviously, was at home. But they are so good in and around the penalty area with little intricate kind of patterns of play and opening teams up centrally. And that was where they were absolutely killing Lazio. Absolutely killing them in that first leg, and the amount of chances they were able to create in that midfield area on the edge, basically in that zone 14 just outside the box. That's like where they were absolutely fantastic with little intricate passes and passes in between the lines. And we just got to make sure we're not giving them that opportunity to get into those areas often, and we're making sure we're clocking up those central areas, and we're making it very, very difficult. On the flip side, I was looking at their game at Lazio, where Bodo lost 3-1, and where Lazio are killing them, which is positive for us, is those wide areas and those overlaps and the wingers getting to the byline and the fullbacks overlapping and getting crosses in the box. They were killing them. They were absolutely, two of their three goals came from that area, and they created multiple chances. And that is obviously what Tottenham tried to do over and over again. So I think if we obviously stick to how we play, with the inverted fullbacks and the wingers isolating their fullbacks, I think that could be a massive source of joy, especially if we've got Odebear and Tell on those wings, going at them, being fearless and taking them on at every opportunity and creating that space. That could spell real trouble, I think. And as well, I noticed the striker for Lazio was really bullying their centre-backs, and he scored a header in extra time, which he just towered over their centre-back and put it in the empty net from across from the far post. So if Solanke's up there, or even Richarlison, they've got to make sure they're using their physicality and getting on the end of those crosses, because I think if we put quality in delivery there, those centre backs can be dominated.
Yeah, and I completely agree. And I think that's probably another reason why Solanke should be starting, because he's just got that much more of a physical presence than what Richarlison does. And Solanke, he's been guilty of not being as clinical as he should have been. From what we saw from him maybe in the Bournemouth days. I mean, this still needs to come out in this one game. It really does. And I completely agree. Tell and Odeberg are going to be massive for us. And also Maddison, Maddison picking up those little pockets of space and really feeding those wingers and feeding Dom Solanke. I mean, everyone just needs to be completely on their job. So, look, it's all set up to be an unbelievable night tomorrow night under the lights with all the atmosphere, with the players showing their Europa League form. And I think if we play like we did in the first leg against Frankfurt, I really think we can take a really convincing victory there.
Just to talk quickly on Ange's comments in the press conference, talking about people are ready to diminish our achievements if we do go all the way in this competition. Some fans even comparing, he said, this to Man United winning the FA Cup with Ten Hag, and he said, commenting on that article saying Tottenham don't deserve to be in the Champions League even if they do win the whole Europa League. He said it was quoted saying, people have said this is close to Man United winning the FA Cup with Ten Hag, and it's not even in the same planet. Do you agree with that statement? Do you think it's not even in the same planet?
Well, I think that the Europa League is a much higher stature competition than the FA Cup. I mean, I agree with him on that. I just feel like I don't feel like the comparisons are drawn with the two competitions. I think the comparison is drawn with both Ange and Ten Hag both looking like not deserving really to be in a job. And, next season, if Ange was to stay, then he could lose his job early on in the season if he has a rocky start. And I still believe that to be true.
But do you not think the level of achievement at each club is not a fair comparison?
Yeah, for sure. For sure, it's not a fair comparison, because Spurs haven't won a trophy since 2008, haven't won a European trophy since 1984. So, and Man United, I mean, they win a trophy at least every 2 years or whatever. They've won two trophies in the last 2 years in their worst ever moment. So,
and they've even sacked managers after winning trophies, like Van Gaal. Yeah, they sacked him a few days after winning an FA Cup. So it's completely different.
Yeah, it is completely different. And Ange Postecoglou winning a European trophy compared to Ten Hag winning the FA Cup, it is true. It's in completely different planets. Yeah, 100%.
Especially when they're a team that's won so many trophies over the past however many years, and they've been basically built to win trophies even when they've not been playing well. So I completely agree with Ange, and I understand his frustration that there are people already saying, oh, it's it's just a poor Europa League, it's just, oh, he's lucky with this, oh, even if they win it they don't deserve to be in the Champions League, and people just already trying to put it down. And I understand that frustration, because on the face of it, having come into this club, not having won a trophy in 16 years, not having won a European trophy in 40 years, all this whole fan base starved of silverware, and everyone constantly, there's an obsession in this fan base and in this club of trophies, absolutely, because we haven't won one. And we've basically been branded this impossible to win at club, and even in our greatest moments under Poch and Redknapp, we weren't able to win a trophy. Even in our best sides in the league, we weren't able to win trophies at this club, and it's basically been seen as this impossible thing to do. And then he comes in and wins it. If he does come in and win a trophy, he has to still to do it. But if he does do it, like, that is more of an achievement than other clubs doing something similar, because of maybe the narrative and the context around this kind of trophy win. So I think I do kind of have sympathy for some of his frustrations with some of the narratives being put out there, I think.
Yeah, look, I think it's important to make the comments on it after he actually does go and do it, not like some hypothetical where he could go and do it. He's in a semi-final now, so he has all the chance to go and do it. So it's all about doing it now and getting the job done. And, I'm sure if he does get the job done, and if we do go and win it, his time at Spurs will be looked at a lot differently to what the narrative is now, for sure.
And quickly on Maddison's comments as well, kind of saying, the fans they've put the fans through a lot of stuff through the season. He said, and he was kind of weird, he was saying, is it us or we, is he, because he was kind of saying we're hurting as well, how much we've been losing this season, all this kind of stuff, and he was kind of saying we want to do it for the club, obviously we want to do it for fans as well, but off the back of comments he was saying against Liverpool, saying we just have to basically block out the negativity, which is kind of implying negativity from Tottenham fans. is he trying to bring everyone together, or is he kind of implying there's a us and them with the team and the fans?
I'm not too sure, to be honest, but I think like by those comments against Liverpool and the comments today, it does feel like he doesn't really kind of think about the fans too much, to be honest. I think he's trying to just stay on job, and maybe at this moment in time that's the right way to think about things. He just needs to focus on the task ahead and focus on bringing glory to this football club, and then he'll have his moment with the fans to celebrate if he does go and get that done. So yeah, I think the comments are a bit strange, to be honest, the way he kind of dismisses the fans a bit too easily. But if we do go and win that trophy, I don't think anyone's going to care about it, and we'll all be dancing and celebrating together.
Absolutely. And look, he's got his job to do, and so do we tomorrow.
Exactly. So let's hope everyone has their job in hand, and everyone fulfills the job, and we fulfill the mission. And like I said, it's just so important to try and put this game beyond some sort of doubt. And by the end of tomorrow, having 1 foot in that final. And what does having 1 foot in that final look to you? What lead do we need to take there to say that we've got 1 foot in the final?
I would say a 2-goal lead, you have a foot in the final, I would say. But obviously, 2-goal lead is by no means over because of Bodo's home form, and they definitely have the ability to beat us by 2 goals. But if you do have a 2-goal buffer, you're looking at it like thinking, like, it will be really Spursy to Spurs that up. You have to be big favourites to go in. A 1-goal lead, it's massively in the balance for sure. It's still basically 50-50 at that point. But I think a 2-goal lead, obviously, your favourites. 3-goal lead, I mean, if we were to bottle a 3-goal lead, that would be shocking. So I think 2-goal leads, maybe you've got a half a foot in the final. 3-goal lead, you got a foot in the final. 4-goal lead, you got 2.5 feet.
4-goal lead, still 1 foot.
Still one foot. With Tottenham, it's always 1 foot.
Yeah, look, it's important that we, like I said, take a significant lead. I'm looking for a 3-goal minimum lead tomorrow.
But you just got to even just look at Aston Villa PSG for an example. You know, PSG took a 2-goal lead into that game. 1 goal or 2-goal lead. They then scored, went into a 2-goal lead in the away legs. They're 4 goals clear. You're thinking game's dead. And then in 15-minute spell, Villa pull 3 goals back.
Look at that. Look at the Barcelona-Dortmund one. It was 4-1 from the first leg. Dortmund ended up winning 3-1 in the second leg. But I mean, it could have gone. Dortmund could have won that game by 4, 5, 6. The amount of chances they were creating.
Even if we take a 3-goal lead there, you can't take anything for granted.
The game's never dead. That's why I'm saying 1 foot into the final, not 2 feet into the final. But we need to make home advantage count. That's the key takeaway here. On top of the injuries that they do have, so significant performance tomorrow with a significant result. My prediction is going to be 4-1 to Spurs.
4-1. I'm going to go 3-0.
3-0.
Clean sheet.
Clean sheet. All right. Well, let us know your predictions in the comments section below. A monumental day ahead for Tottenham Hotspur. Me and Sim will be there tomorrow night. We're getting in early. We'll be wearing white and we'll be contributing to the atmosphere tomorrow night. We've got Barry and Iggy in the studio with you to take you through the semi-final first leg. But that is it from us today. I want to thank you all for joining us. Remember, if you are going to the game tomorrow night, sing your hearts out for the team. And thank you everyone for joining us. Like, subscribe and comment. And as always, come on you Spurs.